Okay, recording. Well, we still have only 12 participants, so we need to wait for more participants, or just let me know till when.
Let's start, man.
Okay, yeah.
If it's recorded, it's okay.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, well, welcome everyone. Good morning. My name is Ben Dali. I'm a solutions architect at Oracle. Today on this webinar, we're going to overview the OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Dashboard, the registration process and everything. We have some explanation about the registration process. When we go to try Oracle Cloud free tier, we have start for free option. When we choose it, we'll be forwarded to create account. We will choose our territory. We can put Israel if we want, of course, depending on the participant country region. We will place here the email address. I'm not going to complete this process because I already have an account. I'm just showing you. And then I will do next button. Yeah, already registered. So once you do the next, it will ask you some questions about address, phone number, email address, and more questions about the registration and the onboarding. It is very important to choose a name for your account. This is the tenant, the account name. It's very important to choose something that is related to your business or something that you will remind it. Some organizations are hiding their name because they don't want that someone will try to do some brute force attack on their account, so change something different. If we want to do the account name on the same name of the company, we'll choose the same name. If it's for POC purposes, we will add the POC name at the end of the account name. So once we've registered and we have everything, we will receive a registration email, and then we will be able to start. Once you started and you received your registration email and you have updated the password and everything, please know that you can log into your cloud account from everywhere in the world. Just go to cloud.oracle.com like this. Then you have here this little guy. We'll press it and then sign into cloud. Once we enter here, we can put here our cloud account name. It's very important to put here your cloud account name and not your email address. Otherwise, you will be forwarded to a 404 page. Exactly. So on my account, we will use an internal account. Then I will be redirected to our IDCS or IDP, identity provider, for login. I'll add here my email address, which I registered before. And then I'll be forwarded to the dashboard. Okay, once I logged in, I see the primary dashboard page, which is see quick actions, some solutions, learn for documentation, stuff like that, and the action center, where I see my user management, my billing. At the moment, this billing is not reflected here because this is our internal account. We don't pay for these resources, but you will see a bar here. This is depending on your alarms that you've set sometimes, and depending on the budget that you've set sometimes. You see here new news about new announcement. You can see more announcement on this page, and you can check which type of announcement you would like to see and from which period. You can see here everything, including maintenances that are upcoming. Once again, here we have quick actions for example, creating network. This wizard, for example, will be able to guide us in order to create a network. The network is the first instance that we need to create in order to communicate with the world. So whatever we do, whether it is a database or computer instance, block storage, whatever it is, we just need to create first the connectivity to the world, or if we want to set a VPN site-to-site VPN, we will do it here as well. So this is a step-by-step guide that you can start your workflow. And here I've been asking some questions. For example, let's call it Zoom. Zoom VCN, Virtual Cloud Network 01. And then I will be asked to place it in some compartment. Compartment, it's a logical directory where I can place my resources. If I have several departments in my organization and I want to separate the cost usages of each one of them, or the departments, or if I want to enforce permissions and change the permissions that everyone has on each compartment, I can do it using compartment as well. Then I'll add here my compartment, perform next, and then it's asking me CPE. This is only if I would like to set an IPsec VPN. Okay, on that case, I won't do this. I just place something else because I don't want to initiate my VPN right now. Vendor can be Checkpoint or whatever it is, whatever. And then I'll press next. This is the IPsec connection. I can do it using BGP or static routing. I don't want to work on the VPN right now. Let's do something basic like create a network with only internet. I'm just showing the wizard because on the wizard you have all the guides that you need in order to perform your virtual tunnel. So again, let's do it. Zoom VCN 01 compartment. I'll choose my compartment, and then I'll add a CIDR, a network that I would like to add in my resources. For example, this block is pretty big. I'll change it to /22, so I'll have 1,000 IP addresses that I can use. Here I'll put the public subnet, and here's the private subnet. If I want to do a 3-tier application and I would like to separate the tiers of my networks, I can do it here. Just do it like this, yeah. And then next, here is some summary. You see, in 1 minute, you actually have your network provisioned. Now it's provisioning the network, and that's it. Here I see my virtual network. I see that I have my 2 subnets. One is public, one is private. I see my route tables. I see that my route table is, for my private network, is directing to NAT gateway. So even private IPs will be able to perform actions like YAM update or Windows updates in front of the world, but it won't be accessible from the world inside. And here I have my default route table for my public subnet, which wants to access the internet using the internet gateway. The internet gateway, we can see it here, it already was provisioned when I created the Zoom VCN. It's already here. This is the internet gateway. I can add a lot of stuff here. For example, I can do network security groups for profiles, for example. Security list is the way we enforce security rules, like firewall rules. We will see here how rules look like. If I want to deploy a web server, for example, and I want to expose it using 443 or port 80, I need to add it here. I'll add an English rule, for example, from all the world to destination port 80, and I'll add description, allow HTTP port 80 by Ben. It is very important to document everything you do, because if you don't have description, sometimes people might delete your rules if they think they are too permissive. I'll add this rule. And for egress, all the external traffic that goes from the subnet outside, I see that everything is allowed in order to communicate from the public subnet to the public internet. Well, that's it in terms of networking. I'll go back to the dashboard. What I want to show you, we have here, we can create compute instances. For example, we can add here more servers. We can create images from those servers, okay? For example, let's create a server. Okay, I'll create it again. Zoom, SRV01. I can choose here which image I want to use. For example, Ubuntu, CentOS, Oracle Linux, which also include autonomous Linux and Windows servers. Please note that when you choose Windows servers, you need to check this checkbox. It's the licensing agreements. In this case, we will use Oracle Linux or autonomous Linux if you want to deploy it. I'll select this image. Please note that I can add additional Oracle images from the Oracle Linux applications. I can use partner images from a marketplace. For example, CloudGuard, Checkpoint, Fortinet, etc. There's a lot of them. I can add custom images if I create one template from one server and I want to deploy from this template additional servers. I can do it from here. Boot volumes, it's actually the boot drive of your image. As I said, I'll add here the Oracle Linux 7.7. I'm choosing here which availability domain on that region, on the Frankfurt region, on which data center I want to deploy it. Okay, sometimes I want to create a cluster and I want to split my instances across. Here I will choose a shape. Each shape indicates what it actually has. Note that after your trial ends, you will be eligible to use always free tier instances, which means that you're not paying for this. Even on the trial period, you can use this and it won't use or consume your credit accounts. Okay, we have standard images and we have special images. These images are including high rates of I/O in case of performance that you want to add to your storage. So VMdense IO provide you more IOPS. You can go up to 5 million IOPS per instance, or we can choose also the VM GPU. If we want to use graphical processor units instances, we can check this as well. Let's go for the standards. I'll check this. I can choose if I want to use a virtual machine or bare metal. And then I'll choose where I want to, which network I want to use for this instance. I will choose the public subnet that I created for the Zoom VCM. Okay, I can use the network security group as the 34 profiles, or just using the subnet rules. I can provide an info to actually choose if I want to assign a public IP address or do not assign public IP address. I can use an instance on a public IP subnet without assigning it a public IP address. I'll answer for questions as well. I have a question here, but I want to just finish the review and then I'll answer for all the questions. Well, here I would like to generate a SSH key. I can do it using PuTTyGen, or I can do it using other mechanisms, for example, SSH keygen. I have something predefined here. Let me check that I have it. No, let's use this from here. One second. Just copying the key. I don't want to use this. One second. Just let me have the key here. Okay. Okay, got it. Then I'll paste here my SSH key. I think I pasted it twice. Okay, and then I'll create my instance. Well, now my instance is provisioning. I can see here several details, for example, which availability domain, which data center in that Frankfurt region, from all the regions that I have here. It's deploying it. The fault domain. Fault domain, it's a group of hardware that I am allocating my VM. For example, if I have on my same data centers, let's say 9 rows of racks, 3 rows will be set as, for example, fault domain 1. The next 3 rows will be set as fault domain 2, and the last 3 will be set as fault domain 3. I can choose which fault domain my VM will fail over in case of hardware failure. That way I have a high availability option on my VM. I can choose, I just want to show it here. When I create an instance, I can allow the OCI to choose for me which fault domain will be set automatically, or if I'm creating a cluster, I can choose by myself which fault domain I want to set it. There are a lot of more advanced options here. I won't review them all because we are tight on times, but you can feel free to go and check it by yourself. Well, my VM here, it's provisioned. I see that it became green, it's running. I can see here which region it is, which shape, to which VCN it's allocated. If I have a maintenance reboot that is set for somehow or some reason or sometime, I will see it here, listed here. From which image, OCID. OCID is very important if you're using automation. Every Oracle instance or object has a specific OCID. OCID is Oracle Cloud Identifier, which means that if I want to perform some automation to several instances, or I want to perform something only for few instances, I can use their OCID. Everything has an OCID. Even your VCN, even your subnet, even your user has its own OCID. Here I see in which compartment it's deployed, and if it's and its IP addresses. At the moment, for some reason, I probably unchecked the public IP address. So I'll do it pretty fast. Again, sorry, my bad. Will be in a few seconds. Okay. BCN, yeah, and I want to assign public IP address. I'll paste it here. It's okay and create. Hold on. I'll add it on 82 because I already reached the limit there. I'll assign it public IP address. I'll paste the SSH key here and create it. Okay. Few more things that is important to notify here. You have here our metrics. Our metrics will indicate you which resources are on which amount of use. It's a monitoring system that shows you graphs on the CPU usage, RAM usage, disk usage, and network IO usage. Here we will see our VNICs. If I have one CPU instance, for example, I have only one VNIC, but if I want to have more than one VNIC, I can make a bigger shape and add more VNICs, virtual NICs, on different networks. For example, if I want to create a router, I'll add it here. A boot volume is our operating system disk, which means that if I want to clone it, for example, or make a backup of it before I do some change, I can do it here as well. I can do a backup, okay, or a clone. This is my boot volume. Instances. Okay. Then also my console connection. Console connection, it's a very powerful tool which allows us to actually bring your, for example, if I bring my own image and I want to see the boot processes and to see all the BIOS and everything, I can create a console connection. It's not available right now until my instance will end the provisioning. Once it will become green, I'll be able to create a console connection. I'll create a console connection and I can connect to the instance using SSH or using VNC if I want to run some graphical operating system like Windows or Ubuntu desktop. I can create a console connection. I'm just adding here my SSH keys. Okay, and then I have two options to connect with. Well, that's it. This is an instance that I already created here. I want to show you more stuff like block volume storage. It's used for block volumes. If you want to attach additional disks to your database or to your instances, you can do it creating block volumes. Object storage allows you to create public buckets like S3 buckets that you can add more. Let's just take one of these. 1 second. Yeah, Ben bucket. You can use that. I can upload objects to here. I can use the CLI to add a big amount of images or to do asymmetric uploading. I can see the metrics of how frequently it's used. I can create a pre-authenticator request. If I want to allow someone to access the bucket itself or an object, okay, from the bucket, I can actually place here the object name and allow someone to access this object on this period, okay? Every PAR, pre-authenticated request, has an expiration date, and I can add permission from just to read, allow read permissions to the object or write, etc. Lifecycle policy rules allows me to actually check if I have old files and I want to delete them or archive them. I can do it using automatic lifecycle management. And I can do several policies and decide if they are enabled or disabled. Replication policy allows me to replicate data from one object storage to another object storage. File storage allows me to create. We don't have enough time, so I'm trying to show the highlights of highlighted features from each service. On the file storage, I can add and provision file systems, NFS storages that I want to mount to my servers. So I'm here creating file system and add mount target and everything. And if I'm, for example, connected through VPN, I can even mount this NFS volume to my on-premise if those IP addresses are accessible through the VPN. Networking, here we saw everything that is related to networking. For example, VCN, Virtual Cloud Networks, everything is here. DRG are mainly for VPN. We can have also load balancers. We can create a load balancers for our environment. We can see that some instances of my load balancer are turned off, so it shows me that it's a critical state. But here I can create my load balancer using public load balancer or private load balancer. I can choose which amount of throughput I want to use on this load balancer. I can choose which VCN I want to select. And then when I go to, forward with the wizard, it will ask me more questions about which instances will be behind those load balancers, or what I want, what listener or watch or which port I want to allow in this load balancer. Public IPs allows us to create a reserved public IP address that I want to use for my instances. I can create several reserved public IP addresses. They are free. We're not charging for reserved IP addresses, but these IPs won't change. So if I want to have my web server, I will create here a reserved public IP, and then I will attach it to my virtual NIC. DNS zone management allows me to create a zone of DNS. Oracle acquired DNS, and it allows you to use DNS publicly and create zones and add records and everything that is required from a DNS zone. Databases. We will see here many things related to databases because Oracle is a data company. We'll see autonomous data warehouse, autonomous transaction processing, or ADW and ATP. We can create Oracle databases on bare metal, VM, and Exadata, which are engineered systems for Oracle database. We can add a data safe. Data safe is a security mechanism for Oracle databases. We can add Exadata Cloud Customer or our latest release on NoSQL database. This is our latest release from 1 week ago, I think. You can create and provision NoSQL databases here and use it for your OCI as well. In terms of big data, we have big data service. We have digital assistants, which you can use it for example, a bot that will guide you or your users. We have data flow, data science. We have also in data science, we have a data science VM that is already configured with PyTorch and Keras and other TensorFlow and other packages. You can quickly deploy these instances and use them and destroy them once you finish. In terms of analytics, we have our analytics cloud. If you're using Terraform, you can use Resource Manager. Email delivery, it will be a great service if you're using emails to send your users some bulk emails, or if you want to use your system and notify your admins that something might fail. So you can use the email delivery as an SFTP relay. Application integration, we will see here also the event service, the notifications service, and the content and experience. Monitoring, same as I said, when I create every instance, I have these metrics, which means that which amount of CPU, RAM, storage, or network is used. I will see here all the service metrics. I can actually choose what I would like to see here. For example, I can choose my compartment and what would I like to see. For example, my VCN. At the moment, everything is turned off on my tenant, so you won't see a lot of usage. This is the rates from the last minute. I can change it, okay, and then I can use more tools to see my metrics. I can add alarms based on those metrics. If I want to, for example, set alarm name and its severity. Like for example, if I want to see which amount of CPU is used on my instance, I can get an alarm based on that and perform automated actions on behind. We have here our logging service as well for monitoring. We can see here the logs from, for example, network flow logs. We can see it as well. We have our developer service, which allows us to actually use our API gateway or use functions service, or even if you're using microservices using, for example, Kubernetes or Docker containers, we can use our OKE, Oracle Kubernetes Engine, to deploy our microservices and use it as well as here. Here's our marketplace that you will find more images as well there. This is our platform services. Again, we have a lot of stuff here. We won't have enough time to review it. What I would like to show you is how you actually provide access to users. It is very important because the first thing that you will do is create users. I'll create one user. For example, Zoom user 01. Zoom user 01. I can add an email or just use it without an email address. It's very important. I will show you afterwards what's the difference between the two. But once I create a user, let me search it. Probably user is not replicated here. Never mind. Yeah, see all the things that I created under Zoom, but for somehow the reason it's not shown here. It's not alphabetic. I think it will be on the last page. Yeah, Zoom user 01. Once I create the user, I'll see again the OCID of the user. Okay, the created date. If it's federated or not, it's very important. I will show you afterwards what it means. And then I can have here a public key for this user. I can use the same public key, but it will be on PEM format. It's very important as well to notice this. it will mainly use if you want to use API, automation, CLI, and other SDKs. You will see it that it will require you to actually upload your PEM format public IP. If I want to create, for example, OKE, Oracle Kubernetes Engine, I need to add a token here. If I want to use my email delivery, it will require me to use SMTP credentials. I can create specific users for that role as well. Customer secrets key, again, this is for S3 like system that require S3 passwords and secrets. And here we'll see the groups. Every user, when I create it, it's blank. It's not assigned to any group. So if I want to provide him access, I need to add it to a group, for example, administrators. Okay, and then it becomes active. I can create a password, and it will show me here the password of that user as well. So if I want to log into my cloud account, now with this user and this password, I'm able to access this account. Okay, I'll do a pause and I'll answer some questions. So if everyone have any questions, this is a good time to ask. I will start with a question that I have been asked here. We will use the free tier in this hackathon, or we will get some wallet money? Okay, well, the answer is this: is you will use both. Once you register to your OCI trial, you will have $300 for your first month or first $300, which will be consumed first for that lab. So this is the credit that you have for this cloud account. Once these credits or this period of that month will expire, you will have the free tier eligible instances, which I will remind it that I can create, for example, an instance with one CPU, single CPU. I will see here the instance shape. I will see here that I have my always free eligible. So if I want to create a small instance, I can create it using that trial and it won't consume my trial credits as well. I can use this. I can use also a load balancer. I have load balancer with 10 megabits per second. That is also eligible for the always free tier. And I can have more block storage and object storage. Two of them, I have 50 gigs of each for my usage on the free tier once my free trial is expired. Did that answer your question? Okay. Someone else has more questions? Feel free to add it on your chat so I'll be able to see it and answer it. Okay. Well, now I will show you more things about your account. Once you have your account as well, you have your tenant. Your tenant will indicate you what is your tenant name, okay, or your namespace if you want. Your OCID, I won't show it right now. And you have the retention period and everything. But it is very important to see that even because Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is using dedicated resources, once we provision an account, customer will have only 2 shapes available on the first day. So if you want to create bigger instances, you need to create service limits. It is very important to know it because otherwise you won't be able to provision your environment. So you can create here, for example, if I know that I will need to add more instances with, for example, 4 CPUs, I'll add it here. I'll just say specifying some specific details for the service request. And then I choose the category which I would like to increase. For example, compute instance. And I would like to use the shape that it's this, for example, VM standard 2. 2 is the generation, which means it is Intel X7 processor with 4 CPUs. This is 24 CPUs, this is 2 CPUs, this is 16 CPUs. So if we'd like to have, for example, 3 of these on each availability domain, or if we'd like to have 10 of these on each availability domain, I will add it to my request. If I want to create more of a different shape, for example, I'll add it as well. I don't know. Let's say 2. Exactly. And reason for request, we need it as part of our hackathon. Yes. Okay, this is my service request. I won't submit it because I already have these resources, but I will show you how you can indicate which resources are available for you. So let's go back again to administration and tenancy details. Here I can expand those fields and see which amount of resources are available for me and where. For example, on this region, EU Frankfurt, I can see that on availability domain one, which is the data center number one, I'm able to provision 100 gigs of 100 gigs of free volume sizes, and I have volume size. It's pretty big here. In terms of compute instances, you see the limit here that allow us actually to provision more instances on our availability domains. If I would like to create my environment on a different region, I just need to swipe, and change it to, for example, I don't know, US East. And you can indicate, just changing my region right now. Now when I have my compute instances, you see that it's blanked because now I'm at the US and I haven't provisioned nothing on the US region. If I will switch again to Germany, I will see here a list of all my resources. Yeah. If I would like to register to new regions, because my tenant is allowing you to provision a lot of resources in all the regions, but it might be, yeah, like this. I'm not registered yet to Canada, for example, for Montreal. I can do just the subscribe button here, subscribe, and in a few minutes it will become green. So I'll be able to provision more resources also in Montreal. Governance. In the governance section, I will see how the audit. Every API action, it's actually notified, audited, and everything is listed here. Compartment Explorer allows me to see which resources are deployed on which compartment. I'm reminded that we have a lot of compartments, for example, I can add sub-compartments. Okay, for example, my compartment called BDALI, I can add per my, I don't know, my activity or my project or my testing. I can add sub-compartments and I can do it to 6 levels down. So I can create compartment A, A1, A2, A3, and go back. Policies. If you want to allow your users to perform actions, but just in a specific compartment, we can see that on my parent compartment, which is BDALI, that it's a sub-compartment of the root compartment. When you provision your account, you have only the root compartment. I can see here that if I will scroll down to this, my policy allows group, which called band test group, to manage all resources in compartment isolation compartment. Again, I can do a lot of stuff here, but you will find everything on the documentation. So if I'll go to Oracle Cloud, OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure documentation, I can find here whatever I just want, depending on the service. Or if I want to add some policy, I can just add admin policy on OCI. And then you have here, for example, common policies as well. Okay, managing user, managing groups. How do I delete the user? Everything is listed on our documentation. Oh, I think that will be all because you have more sessions. If you don't have any questions, so I think that will be all for now. Feel free to reach me through my channel. So just add here my information, and I'll be able to answer more questions. Thank you.